first key question tonight is simple. Is the political rhetoric used by politicians in this election justified or inexcusable? And let's start with Amit Shah's language on the 22nd. Speaking in Gorakhpur, he said, and I'm quoting, "Kasab se mera matlab hai, ka se Congress, sa se Samajwadi Party, or ba se BSP." That's literally comparing his opponents to terrorists. Are you honest enough to admit today that this is indefensible and inexcusable?
Karanji, I wish you had read out the first line before that. He says, "Kasab se mera matlab kuch aur na nikaliega." He clarifies this. And then he goes on to say, "Kasab se mera matlab hai, ka se Congress, sa se Samajwadi Party, or ba se Basapa." But before I explain this, I want to take you to two statements. On 19th, you have SP National Spokesperson calling Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi or Bhajapa ke Rashtriya Adhyaksh Amit Shah dono
Mr. Mittal, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm asking you about your party's national president and whether his language is defensible, and you've clarified for me that in fact he did mean to compare the three parties to Kasab. Now, I'm asking you whether it's right and proper for a party president to accuse his opponents of being terrorists effectively.
Karanji, I have read out the Hindi statement before this, in which he says, "Iska koi aur matlab nahi nikaliye." I think the language is very clear.
नहीं सर, लेकिन उसके बाद जो मतलब उन्होंने अपने आप निकाला था वो यही था कि वो कह रहे थे कि समाजवादी पार्टी, कांग्रेस और बीएसपी कसब के साथ है, और कसब के साथ जब करते हैं then he's clearly suggesting that
सर कसब के तीन शब्द हैं. का is Congress, by. But when he is saying, "No, I'm not suggesting this," why do you want it to be suggested in this way? Whereas the other two are calling them terrorists. There is one share I am reminded of for the media right now. It says, "Dekha hai jo kadhe mein as sheikh kuch na pooch." Imam ki to baat ye hai ki imam to gaya. I mean, nobody is looking at people calling him a terrorist, people calling Pradhan Mantri a terrorist, a chief minister calling Pradhan Mantri and Amit Shah gadhas of Gujarat, and when he is specifying that this is not what he's saying, and
I'm asking you to justify your party president. Are you saying that your standards are the same as those of your opponents? I thought you were a party with a difference, which meant you were better, but now you're equating yourself with your opponents. And the truth is, your defense of Mr. Amit Shah depends upon a form of chalaki. There's a chalaki in saying ka for Congress, sa for Samajwadi, ba for Basab, and then saying this amounts to Kasab, because that's a chalaki. But you have a right to use chalaki as a defense. Let me bring in Juhi Singh and take up your point with her. Juhi Singh.
Sir, read the next statement also.
Mr. Shah and Mr. Modi think that, if Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah think that they can be defined by this particular terminology, then they came out and said that the Chief Minister didn't take their names really. And yes, Karan, it's a utopia where we would all use...
Mittal sahab ne istemal ki thi.
I am agreeing with you. I am coming back to you. It's a utopia.
This is not a defense.
No, I am not saying that. I am saying it's a utopia. We are into politics. We wish we could use the language which we all use in personal ways. But there's a lot of difference between Kasab and Kabristan and Shamshan Ghat and Gujarat ke Gadhes.
What is the answer in calling the Prime Minister a Gadha? Maaf kariyega. There's no difference.
Come on, what does the Prime Minister do? He comes to UP, he stands on political stages, he does complete, gives complete lies, I would say, because I'm outside the parliament, I can use that word.
If you believe the Prime Minister is lying,
data.
Point out that he's
lying.
He is. Point out what the details are that he got factually wrong.
So.
But to call the Prime Minister a Gadha is rude, and it demeans the Chief Minister.
No, then the Chief Minister is an equally elected leader. I mean, he's heading the UP government, so why call him names like Gunda and whatever the BJP has said and all this? So if you dish it out, learn to take it. That's politics,
that's a fair point. I'll accept that if you dish it out, learn to take it, except you shouldn't be dishing it out in the first instance. But
where did he call him a Gunda?
Just a moment, I'll come to you in a moment, Mr. Mittal, but let me bring the others in. I want to point out how every party involved today is using language that they should be embarrassed, if not ashamed of. I've pointed out yours, I've pointed out Akhilesh Yadav's, I'm going to now point out Rahul Gandhi's. For his Bhatia, for their part, you've heard an interesting array of defenses. Both Mr. Mittal and coincidentally Ajay Kumar. Oh, I think we've lost the line to Siddharth Bhatia. But the point I was making is an interesting point, and I'll make it for the audience while we wait, hopefully, for Siddharth Bhatia to come back. Opponents like Ajay Kumar and Sudhanshu Mittal, who can't agree on anything, come up with the same defense, and Siddharth is back, I'm told. They come up with the same defense of the indiscretions verbally made by their party leaders, that the other side did it first, the other side has set the precedent. And in fact, if I'm correct, Juhi Chawla said much the same of Akhilesh Yadav. Is that a defense? That people actually lower themselves, Siddharth Bhatia, to imitate their opponents and then use their opponents in their defense, and that's true, Siddharth Bhatia.
I've been following it for the past 5 or 7 minutes. There's no defense at all. And what everyone has said is comes under the category of too clever by half. What we call chalak. Now, if you go into who started it and who said it first, and pointing, there is no end to it. You can go back a long way. Yes, I agree that of late, in the last couple of years, and 3-4 years in fact, what you see online in social media where there is no hold bar calling each other names, the violent things, but done by code, has now moved into the public domain. And I think leaders who should be setting an example by saying no matter what our opponent is, we are going to criticize his policies or even attack him.
Okay. Siddharth, I'm going to stop you there because there's something wrong with the line. It's not clear. You're echoing and you're also indistinct. Hopefully, we will be able to put it right. But let me go to Mr. Mittal. Mr. Mittal, so far, we've discussed language that is rude and improper, indecorous, and therefore unbecoming. But the unfortunate truth is that Mr. Modi's language during this campaign has also carried communal overtones. His comment, and I'm quoting him, Ramzan mein jab bijli aati hai, to Diwali mein bhi aani chahiye. Gaon mein kabristan banta hai, to shamsan bhi banna chahiye. Well, that comment was clearly an attempt to make differences between Hindus and Muslims, to polarize the electorate, to gain from it. How do you justify it?
Karanji, why do you have to selectively pick this thing? Why don't you give the next line also? It says, किसी के संग अन्याय नहीं होना चाहिए. सरकार का काम भेदभाव मुक्त शासन देना है. भेदभाव नहीं होना चाहिए. धर्म के आधार पर तो बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए, जाति के आधार पर बिल्कुल भी नहीं होना चाहिए.
मित्तल साहब, जिस चीज को आप भूल रहे हैं वो ये है कि जब प्रधानमंत्री साहब कहते हैं कि किसी भी साथ अन्याय नहीं होना चाहिए, he's actually saying हिंदुओं के साथ अन्याय नहीं होना चाहिए. Favoritism shouldn't happen for the Muslims. That element that you're quoting now corroborates, in fact, the communal interpretation. It doesn't contradict it.
Karanji, I think I'm entitled to present my point of view. If you are going to tell me what my point of view is, then I have nothing to say in the matter. If you are ready to listen to me, then tell me, I will speak. Otherwise, I'll keep quiet. I mean, why did you miss out on the later part of the statement? Secondly, you just heard Mr. Krishnamurthy saying, the code says, please talk about the performance of the government. Now, I am quoting this. Pradhan Mantri says, out of a report which your own channel had presented on the 20th, Aaj Tak had done this on the 20th, in which it says, per crore capital expenditure on a Kabristan was 339 crores and on a Shamshan was 39 crores. This is your channel. These are all statistics. These are all facts. Now, a government which does such partisan administration, this is rank communalization. You see, communal administration is not just only for the majority.
Okay.
Minority appeasement is also communal administration.
All right.
And are we not duty bound to expose the communal administration?
Except that the manner in which you expose it leads people to believe you're actually polarizing rather than exposing.
Do not discriminate on grounds of caste.
But let me...
You are now putting him in dock.
Let me put your point to Juhi Singh. What you're hearing Juhi Singh...
If the administration is communal...
Let me put your point to Juhi Singh.
Yeah,
Juhi Singh, what you're hearing...
you.
Juhi Singh, let me make the point and then you answer. What you're hearing is that, in fact, this is not polarizing. This is exposing the differential in the treatment that your government has undertaken between Hindus and Muslims. And Yogi Adityanath, I presume, was attempting the same point when he said, if it's okay to give inverters to mosques, then why not to temples? And I take it once again Yogi Adityanath is making the same point when he claimed that the UP government scholarships for girls are actually only for Muslim girls. Those are the points you're getting factually made by Mr. Mittal. Can you refute it factually?
Yes, Karan, I'll factually refute it. What they talked about Ramazan, Holi and giving electricity to some religious places. 1 second, Mr. Mittal, you made your point. And to other places, we've factually gone on record. The Chief Minister has released data that we are giving electricity everywhere. And unfortunately, maybe Mr. Mittal or Mr. Modi are not aware of UP. But in villages of UP, Hindus and Muslims don't just stay in clusters that we can give electricity to Muslim areas and not to Hindu areas. The second thing, they have talked about Shamshan and Kabristan. The underlining thing which Mr. Mittal is reading from his Prime Minister's speech, I will also tell you, a lot of money was allotted to Kabristan because that particular land was being encroached, so it was the boundary wall to stop them against encroachment, and Shamshan Ghats were equally on priority. So if they want to release a statement on some data, they can, but we have contradicted it on data and we are not differentiating. Secondly, Samajwadi Pension Yojana, laptop, we have released data.
Stop it, you made the point. I want to bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Mr. Mittal, we are also taking names of people we have given.
Okay, Juhi Chawla, Juhi Singh, forgive me, Juhi Singh. Juhi Singh, let me, can the two of you stop your personal quarrel with each other, please? Switch off both their mics. I want to go to Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Karanji, again, this is a half-truth you want to propound. Do you realize that he enjoyed immunity under Article 105 of the Indian Constitution, that for all what he said, he could not be prosecuted? Now, is this comparable? An analogy of 1962 in the House is being compared to what is explicitly prohibited under Article 19 of this Constitution, which says you cannot talk about something which challenges the integrity of this nation.
Forgive me, sir. I've got Article 19.2 with me. I'm challenging you on facts. I've got Article 19.2 with me. The restrictions on freedom of speech are on grounds of security of the state, not integrity. The others are friendly relations with foreign countries, public order, decency, morality, and contempt of court. Integrity is not there. And forgive me.
Let me read it for you.
Forgive me. I'm reading it out, sir. You don't need to read it out. I've just read it out. And furthermore, in the famous Balwant Singh case, in the famous Balwant Singh case of 1995, the Supreme Court ruled that Khalistan Zindabad was not sedition, it was not anti-national, it was not criminal. You can shout Khalistan Zindabad as per the Balwant Singh judgment 1995, the Indian Supreme Court.
Now let me read out the clause 19.2 to you. You very conveniently overlook and very conveniently omit it. It says, impose reasonable restriction on exercise of right confirmed by the said subclause in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the country. Sovereignty and integrity of the country is here. 19.2. You cannot write your own constitution, Mr. Thapar. So do not be selective when you read out of constitution. That's your problem. For every statement you want to be selective. You will conveniently overlook facts which are contrary to what you want to say. Is this fair? Is this how you can have a debate?
All right, let me bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy.
You are a man with integrity. You cannot play these childish games.
I'm not playing childish games,
This is the constitution of the country.
I'm not playing childish games. I'm quoting from the Supreme Court as downloaded on the net today. Why did you not
bring this out?
Let me bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Why did you not bring this out?
Let me bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy. Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Sir, this is it.
I've got it with me too, sir. We can both hold up documents. It doesn't prove anything. I've also got it with me here, written down. Now, Mr. Krishnamurthy, Mr. Jaitley says, and again I'm quoting him.
Are you going to rewrite the Constitution of India?
Mr. Mittal, let me bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy. He's a very learned man, he's a very senior man, and he's patiently waiting his turn. Mr.
Currently, law of land has to be followed by anybody and everybody, irrespective of whether they are students or not. I have been a student leader. I have been the president of Delhi University Students Union, and I never had the liberty of breaking the law. So law is same irrespective of who it is. The law is very clear, and I have now the copy of the Constitution also and the section 19 here also, which you can now then refer yourself. What is more important? I'll give you another analogy. If I was to say, Modi ji hum sharminda hain, tumhare alochak zinda hain, you know what will happen in this nation? There will be demand for putting me behind bars. Nobody will talk about freedom of expression. They will say this is promoting hatred, this is anti-national, there's all kind of things will be said, and there will be demand to have me incarcerated behind bars.
Okay.
Let's not apply double standards.
But can I put this to you?
Who want to
because
destroy the nation,
we're talking thoughtfully,
who want to break the nation,
we're talking thoughtfully and
speech.
reflectively to each other. Mr. Mittal, can I put this to you? A broad-minded, secure, strong country allows its young, whether they are misguided or whether they are sincere, to make even the most foolish and reprehensible statements, because you want the young to enjoy that freedom of speech and you value their right to speak. They then are given an opportunity thereby to learn their mistakes. Surely when 22-year-olds say Khalistan Zindabad, Kashmir ki Azadi or Bastar ki Azadi, what we should do is to do what the Supreme Court in 95 did in the Balwant Singh case, to rule Khalistan Zindabad is not a criminal offense. It may be undesirable, but it doesn't breach any rule. Shouldn't we be equally broad-minded to our young?
Sir, again, the judgment you are quoting, you have selectively quoted. It only said Khalistan Zindabad. It never said Hindustan Murdabad. It never said Hindustan ke tukde honge. It never questioned the integrity of this country. The mere statement Khalistan Zindabad is not what is criminally not challengeable. But denouncing India, saying Hindustan Murdabad is certainly not what the Supreme Court has upheld. And as far as the misguided youth of the country are concerned, would it not be my duty to say what you're doing is wrong? Would it not be my duty to say what you're doing is illegal? Would it not be my duty to say what you're doing is not only constitutionally not permitted, this is criminality which has severe consequences.
Okay, let me put your viewpoint to Ajay Kumar.
What they are saying in the name of freedom of expression, because that's not the freedom that
you made the point. Let me bring in Ajay Kumar. Do you agree with Mr. Mittal that you have a duty to point out to the young that what they're saying is wrong, and B, the law is the law, it applies to everyone once they become adults, regardless of whether they're young or not?
Look, Karan, the simple law is that if it incites violence, it leads to violence, then it's a criminal offense. The question is, historically also from that perspective, when Khalistan ki ladai chal rahi thi, the fact is that from a political perspective, one sec, Sudhanshu ji, let me complete, sir. Let me complete. The fact is that if it incites and leads to violence, so that's a matter of interpretation, whatever happened. What happened in JNU, I'm saying whoever said in Hindustan ke tukde is condemnable. But the fact is that it has been delayed, and Karan, it's very important that this government has to be put on the mat saying, what have you done to take action? You have not done it. You keep this fire of pseudo-nationalism alive for political purposes, not to
but
protect
let's not polemicize every question.
So I'm saying, if it incites violence, so Karan, the fact is, the only, Sudhanshu ji, one sec, sir, then I'll complete. The only goal, Sudhanshu ji, I'll complete, sir, then I'll give you. The only